I get it, I get it. You want to trust the apostles of the church over, non-biased secular information. I get it. But let me just ask you something. Which apostles are you talking about exactly? You see, the first writings of Jesus were actually written in the books of Paul and his letters, and he wasn't actually an apostle. He never actually walked with Jesus. He says so himself. He just had kind of like a vision similar to Muhammad and other people like Joseph Smith. He never actually was an apostle. So to be an apostle, you have to actually walk with Jesus. But then there's another problem. None of the apostles who actually walked with Jesus ever wrote anything down. Yeah, I know. Most Christians don't realize that the books of the New Testament weren't written by apostles at all. The earliest version of any gospel we have is the Gospel of Mark, not Matthew actually. And Mark wasn't written until about 90 AD, so somewhere around 60 years after Jesus would have left the earth. And the oldest surviving copy text manuscript pieces we have of Mark are from 135 AD, so I don't know, about 100 years after Jesus would have left. Add to that the fact that Mark, being like the first gospel source that the other gospels piggybacked off of to add more and more to it, there's really problematic issues with the Gospel of Mark, especially the fact that he used the writings of Homer as a template to build out his entire storyline, and we can prove that pretty easily. Now, why would an author use a fictional storyline to base his non-fictional story off of? Maybe because it's all fiction. If you haven't already watched my YouTube video called Mimesis in Mark, Proof Homer Inspired the Gospels, I have to recommend it. It's on my Bullet Holes in the Bible YouTube channel. You should definitely check it out. But like we've been saying over and over and over on Deconstruction TikTok, most Christians don't actually have any clue how their Bible was written or where it came from. And that's why they say things like they're going to trust the apostles over secular data, when the apostles never wrote anything about Jesus at all. Period. Deal with it. Oh, and the doctors of the church you reference, there's doctors of the church in Mormonism too, right? There's also doctor PhD holding people in theology that are Muslims too, right? So you see how doctors can kind of be biased and push their own agenda even though they're doctors. It's possible. Just so you know, it is possible. Ever heard of the FDA? Ever heard of the USDA? Ever heard of Monsanto? Ever heard of the Pfizer studies conducted by doctors? The fact that there's doctors in literally every major field and they conflict with each other constantly demonstrates that holding a PhD isn't some kind of monopoly on truth telling. Yeah, so see you later.